Today, Laura and I are going to be chatting about being unaffected. That sounds like a bit of a lofty goal, right? We live in a crazy world. Can we truly be unaffected? Can we remain unaffected? Seems like a reach. It seems like a challenge. And yet, is emotional and spiritual mastery not the art of staying true to our own energy, staying in our own frequency, and therefore being unaffected? And if that's the case, how can we learn that? How can we achieve more of that? How can we truly be so solidly in our own core and our own essence as to remain unaffected? Even if that's only largely, even if it's not entirely, but largely unaffected. Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. If you are new here, you are most welcome. I am Liss. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori.
I think for me, it would start with making it a goal. If I'm consciously choosing to be unaffected, it's going to be easier for me to actually remain that way. And if I am affected by something external to myself, something that is taking place, or even my own thoughts and feelings, if I have set it as a conscious intention to remain unaffected, it will be easier for me to move out of that effectiveness and back into my own state, I think.
Well, I think as well. I mean, the first place really has to be that we make the decision, right? And regardless of what the topic is, we first have to make the decision that XYZ, that this is what we're going to do. And it's not necessarily easy, you know, especially when we're talking about contentment in a world that has become unpredictable at best. There are very, very real issues in this world that are very, very concerning. If you are tuned into the human experience and tuned into the political circus and tuned into literally anything going on here in this world. But I think we come together and we have these talks to rise above a lot of that and to rise above a lot of the human experience altogether, not discounting the human experience, not discounting that we are having one, but honoring and acknowledging that we are co-creating that experience. And part of that comes with the intent to be unaffected by a lot of the things that seem serious that are going on around us. This isn't necessarily an easy conversation, but I do feel like it's important. For many, many years, a woman that I've known probably almost 30 years now says that above all else, we must maintain our peace. And it's so true, because that's all we have. All we have is our divine self, our divine connection. All we truly have in our core is our divinity. And to let everything be the hill that we die on isn't necessarily honoring that divinity. It isn't honoring that truly contented part of ourself that we are underneath all of the chaos and underneath all of the indecisions and the stresses of life and all of the things that happen during the course of a human experience. You know, I'm no stranger to loss, and that certainly affected me. I was not unaffected during those times of loss. I was very young, and it affected me deeply. I didn't have any tools on board to help me navigate those rough waters. But I think one of the reasons, excuse me, I think one of the reasons why we do these conversations is to help people navigate those waters a little more evenly, a little more smoothly, and not allow those conditions to define us, to keep us in bondage, because it did define me. I did feel like I was a prisoner in a way, in my own self, because I didn't understand how to not let such big things affect me. But on the flip side of that, having learned several times over and over the decision that you mentioned, I refuse to allow this to take my peace. I refuse to allow this to destroy my peace and my strength and my joy and my contentment. This is not going to ruin me. This is just something that is part of my experience. And there's a solid chance if I am able to maintain that peace, I'm going to learn a lot from it.
Exactly. And, you know, Laurie, a massive key for me was about learning how to use the gift of empathy in an empowered way. Because here's the thing, when we are used to using empathy in its weaker and more toxic expression, we associate it with caring. And so if I care, I must be affected. But it is possible to care deeply and profoundly and be unaffected. I do not have to enter into the suffering and share the suffering in order to empathize. It's not a proof of care, the extent to which I am affected and the extent to which I am suffering. What it is the proof of the extent to which I'm making it about myself, the extent to which I'm identifying with it. It is possible for me to care with every fiber of my being and yet be unaffected. So my strength stays the same. My peace is undisturbed. Is that not the peace that defies understanding? In the face of this terrible thing that should destroy me, I'm able to hold my peace. That defies understanding, and yet it is energetically possible if we know how to flow our empathy powerfully. So that's one of the keys for me. It doesn't mean you don't care if you remain unaffected. In fact, you can care much more effectively. You can care more powerfully. You can care in a way that's actually going to make a difference, instead of just personally taking it on and then suffering under it. Because simply feeling that emotion, the amount of tears you cry, for example, is not a benefit to anyone. That's not making a difference to what you're so affected by. But if you stay in your peace and you stay in your strength, then your care can motivate you to move, to actually do something to make a difference to the situation. And so if I make the decision to be unaffected, I then have to follow that up with energetic practices that are going to support my remaining unaffected. And if I am affected, especially initially, something happens and I'm affected, to be aware, oh, wow, this has affected me. And then actually process that fact and get myself back into my own energy and into holding my own frequency. And sometimes it's difficult to do. I am personally very affected by conflict. I don't like conflict. I don't resonate with conflict. No part of me is a fighter. I don't even enjoy having to have boundaries. Doesn't come naturally to me. Violence affects me terribly. It always has since I was a little girl. even if it's violence in words. I'm very affected by conflict. I've had to learn how to hold myself steady in the face of that. It's fear of what might happen. It's literally my peace that is going to help me not to enter into the fear.
And it's not avoidance. It's not indifference. It's not emotional suppression or spiritual bypassing. It's none of that. It's really, like you said, the decision that we make, that my inner peace is not contingent upon what is going on in my environment. And we're not suggesting that this is easy. This is something that we learn to mitigate, we learn to maneuver, we learn to manage. So you can become the still point, even when things are still moving all around us, sometimes at a very fast pace or sometimes at a very chaotic pace. We can still be that still point in a chaotic world, because that still point is where everything is created from, right? That still point is remembering our consciousness, not our chaotic.
And exactly, we're given the eye of the storm to be in our peace. We're not told there won't be a storm. We're not told that the storm will be taken away. We're given the eye of the storm to find our peace in. And that is our job. And the more we allow that storm to affect us, it's like that famous saying, no storm can sink a boat unless the water is able to get in. That's what's going to sink it. So are we allowing whatever it is to affect us or not? And we do have the capacity. It starts with realizing that we do have the capacity to choose to be unaffected. And for myself, when I know I'm going into a potentially high conflict situation, or I have to make a phone call that is potentially contentious, I will make the decision to be unaffected consciously out loud before I make the call. There will be no energetic connection. I do not allow it. No cords will be formed, no psychic bonds. I shield myself. My boundaries are strong. I will do all that long before I even press call. And it's so powerfully effective. I really want people to hear this. We don't understand how powerful our choice is. It's the most powerful thing we have done here. To actually make a choice with our free will, speak that over our lives, and then follow up on it. It's amazingly powerful.
So what you just said was really powerful. I've never even thought of like going into an uncomfortable call or an uncomfortable meeting or uncomfortable conversation, already making the decision that it's not going to affect me, that I'm not going to attach to the people involved, that I'm not going to attach to the outcomes involved. That was really powerful. And I can only say thank you to that, because that could really change a lot of ways that I navigate a situation that I have to advocate for my mom. But it's so true that our ability to decide how this goes is grossly underrated. I mean, we're not taught, we're not encouraged, we're not educated that our decisions mean a lot. Our decisions mean everything, everything.
Absolutely, yes. And there's so many tools like that. I think I must write a handbook, Laurie.
I think you
Power
should.
tools.
I think you should.
Power tool. Yeah. Because, I think I have about 300 of these, what I call little things. And yet, if you add all those little things together, that is where our sense of empowerment and sovereignty over our own lives and what we're creating in our days come from. And, I've practiced these things and learned these things and taken these things on board over the last 2 decades. So I take them for granted. In the sense that it doesn't really occur to me until I'm in chat or in response to someone that other people haven't necessarily thought about that or heard about that. And it's like, absolutely, yes. Why anticipate a difficult phone call and enter into a mindset that says, oh, I don't want to make this call. I don't think this is going to go well. This is going to be so hard. I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to speak to this person. Well, how's it going to be anything else then?
Right.
And I'm not saying that those feelings and thoughts aren't valid. They are. This is not about denial or about suppressing those feelings.
Right.
But what are we going to choose about it? If that is potentially the case, how do I want to create it? What do I want it to be? And it's me that I must take care of. I don't control the other party. I don't control how the conversation or the outcome is going to go. What I control is me. I choose to stay in love, and I choose to be unaffected. There will be no connection. And then there isn't one. And then you can put the phone down after a really unpleasant conversation and immediately start singing because you're fine. Not because you're in denial or because you're suppressing this terrible thing that just happened, but because you're actually fine. It's like, okay, that was horrible. Moving on.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
Because you decided it was not going to destroy you. You decided you were not going to let it bond you to those people or to the conversation or to the topic or to the whatever. You've already decided that you're untouchable in a way.
Yeah, it's like the older generation always used to say, water off a duck's back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally the way that it can be. The duck is not made wet. The feathers are designed to just let the water roll off and the duck stays dry. That's what we need to relearn how to do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I have mirrors that I shield myself with. And so any negativity or any darkness that wants to come at me is repelled. My mirrors are repellent. They send it back to its source. And inside of my mirrors, I am unaffected because everything just bounces right off me.
Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section.
Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.